Alrighty, mathematicians, here we are. We are going to be looking at solving and writing multiplication equations. So you need to go ahead and get your book open to page 552 is where we're going to begin today, because this is basically the exact same thing that we've been doing, although we're going to be learning how to multiply to get that variable by itself. So we've already worked on adding and we've worked on subtracting equations, and now we're going to bring in the fact that we are going to be working on solving and writing multiplication equations, which means if we're going to go ahead and get that variable by itself, that inverse operation means that if we're multiplying, the inverse operation would be division. So book open to 553, and we're going to just jump right on into some examples. So let me get set up here. All right, here we go. So, for quick friendly reminder, here's our one that we're going to look at, number 2. Quick friendly reminder, when you see a number and a variable together, that means you multiply. Okay, so obviously when I see this 3x together right here, I know that I'm multiplying my 3 times my x. Now I don't know what my x is. My x could be 5, my x could be 3, my x could be whatever number it's going to be. We don't know what it is yet because we haven't solved the equation. So to get that variable by itself, remember we isolate that variable, which means if I'm multiplying by 3, the inverse operation would be dividing by 3. So I'm going to divide each side by 3. So notice how they divided by 3. So taking a look up here, and I want you to go ahead and write this as well. This right here means division. It's just like fractions. 3/4, okay? It would be taking 3 dividing by 4. So if I had 3/4, I'm taking the 3 and dividing it by 4, which we know 3/4 also equals 0.75, okay? So we are dividing each side by 3. Whatever I do to one side of the equation, I must do to the other side of the equation. So I'm going to go ahead and divide by 3. 3x divided by 3 leaves me with x by itself. Okay. 6 divided by 3 is 2. Therefore, we believe that the answer is 2. Now remember, we're going to do a solve and a check. Yes, you don't get to get off not doing the check. So I go back to my original where I have 3x equals 6. I believe that x is 2. So I'm going to replace my variable with 2. So what does that look like? It looks like this. 3, and I'm going to put in parentheses 2, which means to multiply, because we learned from the distributive property that when we have the parentheses and a number right outside that parentheses, that means that we're going to multiply. So 3 times 2 is 6. Does 6 equal 6? Check. Okay, now let's actually take that and put it into play. All right, down below, we're going to solve our little t-chart and check. Yes, I know it's annoying, but I don't care. Do it anyways. All right, we're going to do 3x equals 15. 3x equals 15. I'm going to make this very clear. Guys, even if you know right away what the answer is, it does not matter. I have to see it. I'll remind you again, I am not a mind reader, nor do I want to be a mind reader, especially with 6th graders. Y'all got crazy little brains. Okay, I've said this before. I love y'all, but you got crazy little brains, crazy little thoughts inside your heads. I do not want to be a mind reader. I have to be able to see it. So while you might be able to mentally give me the answer to this, you will get answers wrong if it is not worked out. Okay? So just keep that in mind. I have to be able to see it. So if I'm multiplying by 3x, the inverse operation would be dividing by 3. So whatever I do to one side of the equation, I must do to the other side of the equation. When I take 3x divided by 3, I'm left with 1x, or just x. 15 divided by 3, and I'm left with 5. So there we go. We believe that x is 5. How do I check it? I replace my variable. Come back over here. I believe that x is 5, so I'm going to replace that variable with 5. Notice how everything is lined up nice and neat. That is imperative for you to solve equations, especially when we get to really big ones. All right, so now 3 times 5 is 15 equals 15. Is that true? Yes, check. Okay, all right, let's move on to this next one. Solve T-chart, check. I have 8 equals 4x, 8 equals 4x. Now, it doesn't matter if my variable's on the other side of the equation. I still need to isolate that variable. So whatever I do to one side of the equation, I'm going to do to the other. So it doesn't matter what side that variable is on. If I'm multiplying by 4, the inverse operation or the opposite operation would be dividing by 4. Whatever I do to one side, I have to do to the other. I'm going to divide by 4. 4x divided by 4 leaves me with 1x, or just x. 8 divided by 4 is 2. So we believe that x is 2. Let's go back and check it. 8 equals 4. Replace my x with 2, because that's what we think the answer is. 8 equals, what is 4 times 2? 8. Check. And let's do this last one. Solve. Oops. Oh, there it was. It was just delayed. Check. It's funny how my handwriting looks good some days and bad another day. Don't judge. All right. 2x equals 14. 2x equals 14. If I am multiplying by 2, the inverse operation is to divide by 2. 2x divided by 2 leaves me with 1x. Make sure you cancel that out so you actually see that. 14 divided by 2 is 7. And now I believe that x is 7, so I'm going to check it. 2, replace my x with 7, equals 14. 2 times 7 is 14. 14 equals 14. Check, yes, we did it correctly. All right, move over to the next page, and we're going to take a look at what this looks like when we are solving a problem, okay, a story problem. It's right here. It says Vincent and some friends share the cost of a package of blank CDs. Okay, so this is like obviously old school because y'all don't have CDs anymore, so we're just going to say maybe like iTunes or just music that you could find because nobody uses CDs anymore. But carrying on, if you don't know what a CD is, it is a round circle that looks like this that you would put into your car rather than playing through Bluetooth. Old school, right? Okay, back to the question. All right, Vincent and some friends shared a cost of a package of blank CDs. The package cost $24 and each person contributed $6. How many people shared the cost of the CD? So we don't know how many friends. That's the unknown. So we can use X because they usually use X for the amount of friends. We know that the total cost was $24. We know each person paid $6, which means 6 times some number equals 24. Okay? You can look at the words. The amount contributed times the number of people. That's the words. We let X represent the variable for the number of people that contributed. And so let's do the bar diagram. It was a total of $24. Each person contributed $6. We need to know this section right here of how much each person contributed, which means 6 times X equals 24. So it looks like this. We're going to divide each side by 6, which means 6x divided by x leaves me with 1x. 24 divided by 6 is 4. We believe that there were 4 friends who contributed. Now we check. 6x equals 24. I replace my x with 4 equals 24. 6 times 4 is 24. 24 equals 24. Check. Okay. Let's take a look at this question right here. It says, in 2004, Penn Hadow and Simon Murray walked 680 miles to the South Pole. That's the total. So we know that's going to be on one side of the equation. I'm going to write it twice because I'm going to do my solve and check. There's not a ton of room, so I didn't write solve and check. All right, the trip took 58 days. Suppose they traveled the same distance each day. Write and solve a multiplication, guys. It's going to tell you what kind to write. Multiplication, division, addition, subtraction. Make sure you write the correct one. To find out how many miles they traveled each day. So we don't know. We know that they traveled 8 miles each day, but we don't know the number of days. So the x is the unknown, the number of days. So we believe that the equation is 58x divided by, 58x equals 68. Now we're going to get that variable by itself, which means we're going to get that x by itself, which means we're going to divide each side by 58. 58 divided by 58 is 1x. In a handy-dandy calculator that you have, it says find out about. So when you take 68 divided by 58, I believe you get something like 11.72, okay? Because the key word here is about. So if we were to round this, we're going to say it's about 12 miles. 12 miles, okay, each day. Now, how do we check that? Well, it's going to be pretty close. So if I go 58, and I'm going to grab my calculator, and I'm going to go 58 times 12, okay, times 12, and we said it's 680. When you round that, I get, 600, oh, it's not erasing. There we go. 696. Now, the key word is about, which means I'm going to use these little squiggly lines, and I probably should have done that here because it doesn't equal exactly that. These little squiggly lines means that it's about. Okay, so change these to the squiggly lines. If I were to round it, it would be 11.72 rounded to 12 miles. Okay, so we know that our estimated answer is going to be a little bit more than our actual answer because the keyword is about. Good rule of estimating. All right, go ahead and turn to the next page. We're going to go ahead and do just a couple of these examples. Let's take a look at 2. Okay, solve and check. It is 2a equals 6. 2a equals 6. I know to isolate the variable, to get that a by itself, I'm going to divide each side by 2. 6 divided by 2 is 3. We believe that a is 3. So 2 times 3 equals 6. 6 equals 6. Check, correct. All right, now let's do solve and check on this one. 9.4g equals 28.2. 9.4g equals 28.2. I'm going to divide each side by 9.4g. Once you use a calculator, handy calculator, okay, you're going to see that g equals 3. So now I take 9.4 times my 3, and you guys should be doing this with your calculator, equals 28.2. So when I do that with my calculator, I get 28.2 equals 28.2. All right, let's take a look at number 4. This will be the last one. The length of an object in feet is equal to 3 times the length of it is in yards. So 3 times the length of it is in yards. I just set that up for us, 3 times some number. The length of the water slide is 48 feet. Write and solve a multiplication equation to find the length of the water slide. So no no estimating. We're going to find the actual. We're going to divide each side by 3. I kind of ran out of room. I'm sorry. X equals 16 yards because when I take 48 divided by 3, I get 16 yards. So now I'm going to check. 3 times, I just run out of room, and that's okay. Equals 48. 3 times 16 is 48. 48 equals 48. Check. So again, nothing really changes from adding and subtracting to when we go to multiplying. We're just doing the inverse operation, which means we're going to be dividing. All right, mathematicians, you are good to go. I'm sure we'll be doing some practice problems, some homework together. You know the routine.